Hey everybody, welcome to the blog. I'm going to talk about what it's like to write a book. So, some of you may know that I wrote a book in 2015. Well, I actually wrote it in 2014 and 15. It was published in 2015, and it did moderately well. And it's a book on beginner's web design. 5-star reviews on Amazon, shameless plug. Anyhow, so what's it like to write a book? It's a very regimented process and it requires a lot of discipline because when you are writing a book, you're going to be working with one primary editor. If you're writing a tech book, you're going to have a secondary editor. Of course, the secondary editor's involvement is less. They just check to see. The secondary editor is the technical editor, and they will check to see whether or not the code and what you're saying actually makes sense. And then you will probably have a graphic designer that you'll be working with as well to create, the fancy, the graphics, semi-fancy, but they did some pretty good jobs with some of the graphics in here. And so, anyway. So you're going to have at least a few people you're going to be working with to produce the book. Now, beyond that, when you are writing a book for print, because the way books are printed, and they have to be bound, like they're bound, like here, bound, they have to be written in a certain structure. They have to have even number of pages in the topic. So if you started a topic, they had to start on an even number page and I believe it was on an odd number page. So I couldn't have a subject covered in 5 pages. It had to be 6 pages, 8 pages, or 10 pages, that kind of thing. So what this kind of does, what it does is it enforces a very a strong discipline in terms of the writing. You have to sort of fit it into that structure. Now the problem and the criticism I have with that is that then, because of that situation, because you have to fall within a structure that satisfies printing, you're letting the structure of the book, the printing of the book, dictate the content. So you're not as free, not nearly as free, in terms of how you write and what you write and the subjects you cover and how you cover a subject as you would be in a digital book or a vlog, for instance, or a blog rather. So that's not cool. But on the other hand, having that discipline forces you to be very controlled and very specific in your writing. And I took this book gig in 2014-15, excuse me, because of 2 reasons. A, because I wanted to reestablish myself out there in industry. B, I wanted to enforce that discipline because I was getting ready, I was prepping for my new courses for Studio Web, so I wanted to make sure I had everything tip-top, up to shape. And I wanted to be sure that everything was very, very precise and controlled. So by writing a book, it disciplined me beyond what I would have done otherwise to really structure all my information properly. So in this book, I'm teaching HTML5, CSS3, a little JavaScript, I'm teaching a little Bootstrap, a little jQuery, the basics. The idea is to get somebody up and running in terms of building websites, and it's also the start of web apps, of course. So yeah, writing a book is very involved. It took months to write it. I was actually in really bad back pain because I hadn't been exercising properly at the time. And so I was like writing my book with my laptop while laying on my back on the floor a lot. So it was a book wroth in pain. So it was quite the process, but nonetheless, I'm happy I did it. It really disciplined me and allowed me to see how it was to really write my own book from front to back. I had participated in like a chapter or two in other books, and I've written lots of times for print magazines and so on, Web Designer Magazine amongst others, but I'd never written my own book myself from front to back, so it was kind of cool that way. Do you make a lot of money writing a book? 99% of books sell less than 50 copies. 99% of books published sell less than 50 copies. Now, tech books have a built-in audience, so they sell a bit more. And I'm well within the average. Last time I checked, I think they sold like 8,000 copies or something like that. Maybe 10,000. I forget now exactly, but that's fine. I wrote this book to be fairly evergreen. What does that mean? That means that the content will be good for several years. Now, this is something you wouldn't have been able to do 5, 6, 7 years ago or before, because the technology was evolving so quickly. But now web tech, HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, the things that I write about, they're pretty static, they're pretty stable now because technology is stable. So this book, I'm very, very certain in 4 years from now will be very, very good because the fact that the technology is pretty stable. Would I recommend writing a book? I would, if you have the time to do it and don't expect to make much money out of it. I made some money on it, but not a huge amount. I did it again for reasons that are not monetary. And for those reasons alone, I would have done it. Would I do another book? Maybe in the future. I'm much more concerned now continuing to develop Studio Web to make it even better. We just released Studio Web 3, which is more of a behind-the-scenes update to the system. Quite nice. And I have lots of things I want to implement for version 3.2 and 3.1, 2, and 3 of Studio Web that hopefully will come out within the next 6 months. But anyway, that's where my focus is. Writing a book, kind of cool, very disciplined, forces you to write in a disciplined manner, but that's very good sometimes.